January 6, 1944. At the 8th Air Force headquarters in England, Major General Jimmy Doolittle read a sign on the wall. The first duty of 8th Air Force fighters is to bring the bombers back alive. He turned to his staff and said quietly, "That sign is wrong." Hours later, a new one went up. The first duty of 8th Air Force fighters is to destroy German fighters. That change would alter the course of the air war and of World War II itself. 4 months, American bomber crews had been dying in staggering numbers. In October 1943, during the Schweinfurt raid, 60 B-17s never came home. 600 men vanished in one afternoon. Fighter escorts lacked the range to stay with them, turning back hundreds of miles short. The bombers flew on alone into a sky filled with Messerschmitts and Focke-Wulfs. Survival had become a matter of luck. The Luftwaffe's tactics were ruthless. German pilots massed beyond the range of Allied escorts, then dove head-on through bomber formations at 600 miles per hour, their 30mm cannons shredding B-17s with a single hit. American generals warned that unless Germany's air force was destroyed, the D-Day invasion could not proceed. Something had to change, fast. That change arrived in the form of a new fighter, the North American P-51 Mustang. With its Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, it could fly 1,600 miles, escort bombers all the way to Berlin, and fight at 40,000 feet. Captain Chuck Yeager put it simply, the P-51 can go anywhere the bombers go, and win when it gets there. The airplane solved one problem, range. Doolittle would solve the other, doctrine. Until then, fighter pilots flew close around the bomber streams, a defensive wall that reacted to German attacks but never seized the initiative. Doolittle, a former racing pilot and MIT engineer, understood speed, energy, and momentum. He ordered his fighters to fly far ahead, to hunt the enemy before they reached the bombers. They would strike airfields, trains, and fuel depots on the way home. The mission was no longer to protect, it was to destroy. Many thought he was insane. Bomber crews feared abandonment. Some commanders protested outright, but the fighter pilots understood. Colonel Don Blakeslee of the 4th Fighter Group told his men, "We are no longer shepherds guarding sheep. We are wolves." When the weather finally cleared in late January 1944, the new tactics were put to the test. Over Frankfurt, P-51s from the 357th Fighter Group spotted 50 Messerschmitts forming up. Instead of waiting, they dove from altitude and tore through the formation. 13 German fighters fell, not one reached the bombers. Across Germany that day, American pilots discovered what freedom to hunt really meant. For the first time, the Luftwaffe was on the defensive. Then came February 1944, big week. Thousands of American bombers attacked aircraft factories across the Reich. The Luftwaffe had to respond. What followed was the largest air battle in history, contrails weaving a white web from the ground to 40,000 feet. This time, the Mustangs weren't tied to the bombers. They swept ahead, strafing airfields, catching German fighters as they took off. Losses flipped overnight. German ace Heinz Bauer wrote, "We take off, and they are waiting. There is no escape." In 5 days, Germany lost over 350 fighters and nearly 100 veteran pilots, men who could never be replaced. Training hours had been slashed in half. New pilots lasted only a handful of missions. By March, Doolittle's strategy was bleeding the Luftwaffe faster than it could rebuild. When American bombers struck Berlin in early March, the Luftwaffe threw everything it had into the sky. They lost more than 160 aircraft in a single day. One German commander wrote, "Today I watched the fighter arm die." Within weeks, Germany still built planes, but had no skilled pilots left to fly them. By May, some missions met no resistance at all. attrition turned catastrophic. Between January and May 1944, over 1,000 German fighter pilots were killed or missing. The veterans, the aces who once ruled the skies, were gone. Meanwhile, American factories poured out 22,000 new fighters and trained replacements faster than losses occurred. Courage alone could not match numbers, machines, and mastery. On June 6, 1944, D-Day, Allied air forces flew 14,000 sorties. The Luftwaffe managed fewer than 300. German tanks, convoys, and reinforcements were torn apart from the air. Field Marshal Rommel admitted, "Our troops cannot move in daylight. We cannot hold the beaches. The skies belonged entirely to Doolittle's reckless idea." In just 6 months, the balance of power had reversed completely. In late 1943, German fighters destroyed 20 bombers for every aircraft they lost. By spring 1944, the ratio was 4 Germans for every American. Air superiority had shifted permanently. Even German ace Adolf Galland later wrote, "When the Americans freed their fighters to hunt, we were doomed." Doolittle's decision reshaped air warfare forever. It proved that air superiority isn't won by defense, but by seizing the offensive, by destroying enemy fighters before they strike. Every modern air force still follows that principle. The change began with one sign on a wall, and one man willing to defy convention. For the men who fought, victory came at terrible cost. Over 26,000 American airmen died in Europe. Tens of thousands more were wounded or captured. German losses were even worse, entire generations of pilots gone. Yet their courage, on both sides, defined an era of human endurance and sacrifice. Years later, Doolittle recalled that day in January 1944. "Changing fighter tactics was the hardest decision I ever made. Bomber crews feared it. Some thought it suicide. But I knew you can't win by defending, only by attacking." He was right. The war in the air was won because one man dared to fight differently. The original sign that once hung in Kepner's office now rests in the US Air Force Museum beside its replacement. Together they tell a story of transformation, from fear to dominance, from defense to offense, from near defeat to total victory. By the time Allied troops stormed Normandy, the Luftwaffe, once Europe's terror, was broken. Factories still built planes, but the pilots were gone, the fuel exhausted, and the skies silent. A single change in tactics had accomplished what years of bombing could not: the destruction of Germany's air arm. Historians still call it one of the most decisive strategic turns of the war. Doolittle's simple order, destroy German fighters, saved the bomber offensive, enabled D-Day, and secured Allied victory in Europe. It was proof that the boldest ideas are often the ones that seem most reckless at first. From October 1943 to June 1944, the skies above Europe changed forever. The Luftwaffe was defeated not by luck or numbers, but by innovation, courage, and one general's willingness to challenge tradition. The best defense, Doolittle proved, was to attack. When the bombers finally flew home without loss, the crews understood the truth written on that new sign. The first duty of fighters is to destroy enemy fighters. That simple idea had saved them all and helped free a continent. And so the story of Jimmy Doolittle's reckless strategy reminds us that in war, as in life, courage and innovation often walk hand in hand. Sometimes victory begins not with a new weapon, but with the courage to change a few words on a wall.